Shelby Church, perhaps the most darling sensation of YouTube in the world right now, has an Airbnb property. And she just recently did a video less than 2 weeks ago about how she's losing money on that listing. And that is really sad because bad things don't deserve to happen to good people. So I reached out to Shelby on Instagram and said, hey, let's talk. I want to look at your listing and give you some feedback. In this video, I'm going to give you the exact same advice that I gave to Shelby to improve her listing performance. And this is going to teach you a lot about Airbnb in a short period of time. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rakidzich. I have over 150 Airbnbs in 8 cities. I've been doing this for 7 years. So some of what I'm about to teach you right now is going to be basic for beginner stuff, but some of this is going to be super high level nerdy stuff. We're going to start with the things we like about our listing, and then we're going to start making improvements. So pulling up Shelby's listing, first off, she has a perfect score. 18 5-star reviews. Nobody's been unhappy about anything, and that's a big deal. So good job, Shelby. Her first photo is right on the money for the most part. She shows that she has a pool. This is so important because if you have an amenity like a pool or hot tub or gym equipment, these are things that people search for. These are things that people want. If you show it in your first photo, it's going to make people want to click on your listing because you're showing what we call a competitive amenity. Her Racket Club Resort also has a bunch of other things right with it. A lot of hosts don't do this one little thing, which is when you click the show more button on this listing, it shows the description. Below that is the space and guest access, other things to note. A lot of hosts don't fill this out. She has a completely completed listing. Of course, professional photos. These things are super beautiful. This place is ready to rock. It's nearly perfect. But now why is a nearly perfect listing not getting any bookings? When we look at her calendar for the month, she's got 2 reservations. And that's not just for the month, that's for the rest of her calendar, open into forever. Now, there's a solid few reasons why, and this is what I told her. Let's start from the top. One of the very first things you notice right away, at the top where it says Racket Club Resort, she is not advertising that she has a king bed in her home. Now, this is important because Airbnb doesn't allow you to search for a king bed. You find out if somebody has it by happenstance. But what I have all of the people I talk to do, if you have a king bed in your home, you should do this. Write King Bed Racket Club Resort. So that way somebody can see right away when they're searching while your photo is still small and they just see your title that you have a king bed. This matters to a lot of people. This will encourage the click. Now, this is going to be a big tip for you guys. I think she should change her hero photo. That very first photo, even though it shows the pool, I don't think it makes it obvious enough. Now, when her listing first shows up, it's going to show up in map view, and there's going to be a very small photo in her title on the left side. She should have a photo that's much more explicit, like here's my pool. And also this starts to show the inside of her home, which starts to kill a little bit of the curiosity of her space. What she should be doing is having an outdoor only photo, like maybe her third photo. That way people are like, oh, this has got a pool, cool. Let's see what the inside looks like. Because having a pool meets one of people's conditions. Now they want to see the design style of the inside. Curiosity will totally kill the cat here. I need to tell you something about Airbnb. Airbnb's algorithm is called an interest algorithm. The reason why this is important is it starts to really beg the question of why does Airbnb push certain listings? One of the main factors of an interest algorithm is people clicking on a listing. So the more people that click on her listing because they saw the pool but couldn't see the inside yet, the more people who click on that listing, the more it goes up in rank. And this will give her more views. The more views she gets, the more she actually shows up in rank. Like she ranks better just for views, even if no one books. I know, that's pretty wild, right? Now, I want public opinion on this, guys. She has a 3-day minimum. Let's talk about this. And I want to get you guys' feedback. Some of you might use 3-day minimums in your listing. And in California, there might be a unique space for this. So for those of you who have a 3-night minimum or longer, put it in the comments. I'd like to know how you guys are doing with this. Now, she has a 3-night minimum and it applies to all of her dates. Normally, what I will teach people is last minute, they should take that away. If you look at her calendar right now, today is November 2nd, and she's got availability right now for November 2nd. It's really hard to believe that somebody's going to pay for a 3-day stay because there's so little last minute search. Not only that, but her listing is still full price. If you look at this, her last minute price is $525 a night. And if you go 1 month in the future, her price point is still just over $500 a night for 3 nights for the same days, month in the future. She's not doing something called dynamic pricing. There are 2 parts of this equation, and I don't want to lose you guys. So let me try to keep this as 101 as possible. In the future, 3 months, 4 months from now, she could have multi-day stays, no problem, at full price, right? She might even want to use a 5-day minimum because what we now need to tell you about Palm Springs, they have a 36 rental contract per year, short-term rental, like maximum. You have 36 reservations and that's it. Well, 360 days, 36 reservations, that's 10-day average, right? So her pricing strategy, we need to mix in weekly stays. We need to mix in some monthly stays if she's going to stay full all year. What we want to do with her listing is start to add some things that she doesn't have into her pricing strategy. And there's another key change that I'm going to tell you before the end of this video that she should also make to this. The last one's actually a pretty sick hack. I'm so proud that I found this out, so stay tuned to the end. So first off, 2-3 months from now, let's change that to a 5-day minimum. She can keep her prices the same, the $500 on the weekdays, $700 on the weekends, because we're going to make a change to that too. What she does not not have, if you look at this, she doesn't have a 4-day discount. Not only that, but she doesn't even have a weekly discount. We want to encourage 1 week, 2 week long stays. So we should be really going to bat on that. If you look at her monthly stay, I think she's got probably about a 35 or 40% monthly stay. Say the reservation's $24,000, she's giving $9,400 off. That sounds about like 35%, 37%. You guys can do the math. Now, in her case, she needs to run what I would call a reverse pricing strategy. This would be the first time I've ever going to explain it this way, guys, so hang in there with me. A reverse pricing strategy would be a pricing strategy where everything is normal all year, but then you change your strategy for peak season. Normally, pricing strategies for all of us hosts is we have a pricing strategy all year, and we change our prices for slow season. The reason why we're going to do a reverse pricing strategy for her listings, what I'm recommending, is because she can have only so many reservations all year. What we want to do is we want to 9 months of the year have 3-week long stays, 1 month long stays for 9 months of the year. Then the 3 best months of the year, we just want to jam the most money out of this thing that we can. So we want to really reserve our reservations for peak season. So what I would do is I would take her $500 a night on the weekdays, $700 a night on the weekends, hopefully. I'm going to take those and let's start doing some discounts. Let's do 25% off for a 4-day stay. Let's do 35% off for a weekly stay. And then let's do 50% off, 55% off for a monthly stay. But what we're going to do then is we're going to go into either the multi-calendar or into the listing and make a change. We're going to take the 3 or 4 best months of her year and we're going to wipe away those discounts. We're going to set minimum weekly prices, minimum monthly prices, or you can use a rule set in the multi-calendar and change what percent discounts you're giving for these weekly and monthly stays. The 4-day 25% off, you might keep that. Might be cool to encourage more weekdays getting booked. You might want to drop that down in peak season and maybe only give like 18 or 20% off for 4-day long stays. In peak season, you still get people booking weekdays, but you want to get people to book weekdays along with the weekends because that's how you get more of your weekdays booked at full price. No matter what listing you have, you can have to drop your weekday prices sometimes when that's the only set of days that you have left. And also, if you only have 36 reservations per year available, you kind of want to get 2 or 3 weekdays booked for every weekend at bare minimum, because otherwise you'll have a weekday or 2 left behind and your strategy now will basically say, hey, we have to just leave those days behind and not get them booked because we'd rather save that next reservation for another 5-day stay. Instead of just trying to get Tuesday booked for 1 day at a discount, we'd rather save that 1 reservation for like a 5 or 7-day long stay. Now, what you can do though, once you get that booked, you could call those reservations, go, hey, would you like to extend your stay? Would you like to check in a day early? Would you like to check in a day late? And you can give those days away at a really sick discount because they're not going to get booked either way. Her pricing strategy will be the same for 9 months. Really generous monthly discounts, really generous weekly discounts, just trying to get full with longer stays, saving hopefully 20 plus of her reservations for her peak season so she can make hay while the sun is shining. Another thing that she can do is use PEERSPACE. We didn't talk about it in depth, but she's famous, right? So people might want to do a photo shoot or a video shoot at her house, and they'll pay by the hour to do a video shoot there, to do influencer stuff. Now, because of this doesn't count as an accommodation, so it doesn't count as 36 rental contracts because it's not the same thing. So add PEERSPACE into any market where you're limited on the number of reservations, or if you're limited on length of stay, like you have to do monthly stays, PEERSPACE is always going to help you jam extra revenue out of those unused days. Now, there's another thing that you can do. What I want her to do with pricing, before we get into this final crazy hack that I came up with, what I want you to consider is, because since she can't do shorter stays, like she has to do 3-day minimums or something because she only has so many reservations a year, if she did not have a 3-day minimum and she was able to have 100 or 200 reservations a year, she could just make today a 1-day stay and get booked. And that's what we have to avoid. She might be able to start getting 2-day stays, 2 weeks from now, but she has to avoid that too, right? This whole 3-day minimum is really starting to put a cramp in her pricing strategy. We want to set the red line further in advance. We're normally, with my studio apartments in Dallas, if we're not booked tomorrow, that's okay. Our red line is basically today. In her case, she has to get booked at least 2 weeks in advance because she needs to get a good price on multiple days. So her price right now being over $500 a night, that's cool for most of her days. If somebody books 3 months in advance, 4 months in advance, that $500 per night's fine. But within 6 weeks from now, 7 weeks from now, she needs to start changing her prices. I would actually drop her daily rates 6 weeks out, probably at the 300 mark. 4 4 weeks from now, her weekdays I'd price at like $250, something like that. And then at that price, you're probably starting to get too low to go any lower, but a month from now, $250 on a weekdays and $450 on weekends, hopefully she gets booked. But let's say she's got unbooked inventory within 2 weeks. Right now is the 2nd of November, and right now on her calendar, the 13th, 14th, and 15th are all unbooked. She can use a rule set, again in the multi-calendar, select these 3 days, and give 75 or 80% off on these days if somebody books for a certain length of stay. Let's say somebody books for more than 7 days, they get 80% off of these days. What she's doing is she's taking inventory that will not sell and she's using it as a coupon to get a booking for the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. She can get full rate on those 4 days. If she gives away these other 3 days at like a super cheap rate, it gives her a week-long stay where she makes some money on those days. Because again, with this type of thing, like a house or like an airline, if that plane flies and seats aren't sold, it's over. You can't go back and sell those days. This is a contribution margin concept, and it can get really advanced when you do hotel pricing, but it really is a big deal. She needs to sell these days, even if it's just for a little bit of money. So her best bet is to create a bundle, right? To give a coupon on 3 days. What I would do in her case too, is the 26th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, I would do the same thing, but on a longer length of stay. I would do 80% off of those 4 days if somebody books at least 3 weeks. Maybe at least 2 weeks, right? Because the 26th, 7th, and 8th are going to be some of the hardest days to book anyway because it's so close to another reservation. Watch my pricing strategy videos if you don't understand why. Why not take those 3 days or 4 days and give a discount if somebody books a big, long reservation? This allows you, again, to get 36 reservations at really good price points. Because now, if you get 4 days at 80% off, well, now November 30th through December 14th, they're gonna pay full rate for those days. But the whole reservation got cheaper because you gave away the farm on 4 of them. This type of strategy is paramount for midterm pricing. Now, I don't have midterm pricing strategy videos public. I actually only teach that in my course, but this is going to be one of the elements of midterm strategy. If you ever do monthly minimum stays, how we use days as coupons goes a long way for those of you who do monthly stays. Now, the last thing I want to show you is this really cool thing. It's a loophole in Palm Springs occupancy laws. She only has 6 guests available for a 3-bedroom, 4 beds. Now, the reason why is because Palm Springs forces you to cap your occupancy at 2 adults per bedroom. There we go, 2 adults per bedroom. First, we can argue that the living room is a bedroom. Most occupancy laws around the country allow the living room to count. She could probably get her occupancy up to 8 off of that thin distinguishment, right? So I told her, list your couches as sleepable surfaces and get 2 rollaway beds. Instantly, that brings you up to 10. She might even be able to stuff 2 queens in one of the rooms. That gets you up to 12. If she uses the living room as one of her spaces, as one of the bedrooms, sleepable rooms, because the definition of bedroom in most occupancy laws is a sleepable room and a living room counts. In addition to that, 8, the law states that you can have up to 4 minors under the age of 12. She can list in her listing that she can sleep up to 12, including minors. All she has to do in her listing now is write in her other things to note and her house rules, something that says like, be advised, 4 of the 12 sleepable occupants listed for this listing have to be the ages of 12 or younger. As per Palm Springs occupancy laws, we can only sleep 2 persons adult per room, and we can have up to 4 minors. So if booking for more than 8 adults, please find a home with 4 bedrooms or greater. Our home can sleep up to 8 adults and up to 4 minors, and that's how we come to our 12-person occupancy count. She's not going to get in trouble from the state, who might be going through listings and looking for violations. They're going to notice that it says 12, but they're going to notice in the other things to note in house rules that it clarifies what the 12 means, and that's going to keep her out of trouble. But like I said, Airbnb's algorithm is an interest algorithm, so this is going to continue to increase the amount of views that she gets, and eventually she'll just show up on the first page of Airbnb's ranking because she's getting so many clicks. Like if a group of 10 adults clicks on her listing, that's still good for her. Even though they can't book, it's still good that they get the click. Reframe the way that you're doing this, guys. Consider changing your hero photo, add king bed to your title. If you don't have the same Palm Springs issue with length of stay, drop your minimum night stay last minute and allow 1 or 2 night bookings to start getting more of those bookings. Otherwise, change your horizon, your red line, to like 2 weeks out, like I'm advising her to do right here. Any of you guys who have questions about your listings and how to run them better, put them in the comments. Shelby, you're awesome. I hope this all helps. And as always, guys, I'll see you on the other side.